There are countless statistics. There are countless studies. I would encourage all of you to go into the Immigration Policy Center's website. They themselves do not do any of the research. The Immigration Policy Center is one of the arms of AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association. They're the ones that fund the Immigration Policy Center. They dedicate themselves to scouring the entire country and keeping tabs on all of the research that is being done by universities and think tanks across the country. And so they make it their job to find those studies and then bring them to the public arena. It's an excellent source of documentation on the immigration issue, and I would encourage you to go in. I want to end by sharing with you what I think the real central question for us is. And I'm going to share with you a passage from the Gospel of Luke. And now a lawyer stood up and to test him asked, "Master, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus then asked him, "What is written in the law? What is your reading of it?" The lawyer replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." Jesus then said to him, "You've answered right. Do this, life is yours." But the man was anxious to justify himself and said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Okay? In answer, Jesus said, "A man was one on his way down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of bandits. They stripped him, beat him, and left him, leaving him half dead. Now a priest happened to be traveling down the same road, but when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. In the same way, a Levite who came to the place saw him and passed on by on the other side. But a Samaritan traveler who came upon him was moved with compassion when he saw him. He went up to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine on them. He then lifted him onto his own mount and took him to an inn and looked after him. Next day, he took out 2 denarii and handed them to the innkeeper and said, "Look after him, and on my way back I will make good any extra expense you have." Which of these 3 proved himself a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the bandits? The lawyer replied, "The one who showed pity toward him." Jesus then said to him, "Go and do the same yourself." We have all heard that parable. I mean, the Good Samaritan, we've heard it. Most of us have heard it, and it's been explained to us that this is about how some of us can be uncaring and how we should all be like the Samaritan and care for our brother or sister in need. But there's an aspect to this parable that is particularly pertinent to the immigration issue. That priest and that Levite didn't pass by because they were uncaring. They passed by because in the Jewish faith, if you were a priest, you were prohibited from touching a dead body. If you were a Levite, you were part of the priestly tribe within the Jewish tradition, you were prohibited from touching or handling a dead body. When they walked by and saw this guy half dead, they didn't do it because the law prohibited them from touching a dead body, so they wanted to comply with the law and walked on. Interesting that the person who engages Jesus is of all people a lawyer who is an expert in Jewish law, and he wants to see if he can trap Jesus. And in the end, knowing that the priest and the Levite had passed by so that they could remain in compliance with the law. And Jesus asks the lawyer, who's the neighbor? And the lawyer ends up saying, the Samaritan. How many times have we not heard that this is about people who broke the law? And they do not want to get away from that central point. They broke the law. They broke the law. If that's what it's about, I'm saying to you, you decide. Are you that priest? Are you a member of the Levite? Or do you choose to be a Samaritan? When you choose to march on to the state legislature of the state of Nebraska, you make your own sign and you put it, I'm here because I'm a Levite, or I'm here because I'm a Samaritan. In my name, you will not pass a law that makes it illegal for human beings to be able to live with the dignity that is guaranteed to all of us. As the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for the United Nations says, the right of a human being does not come from state legislatures. It does not come from government. It supersedes any law that makes it impossible or difficult or that denies the humanity of another human being is an invalid law, is an unethical law, and is an unjust law. And if you look at the history of the United States, if you look at the history of many other countries, we know that there have been periods when we have passed laws that were unjust, that were unethical, and that were inhuman. I invite you to participate in defining who we are in this community and to say, I want to be the Samaritan. And I want to make sure that dignity and the humanity of the immigrant is preserved in our midst. Okay? Thank you so much for your time, for your presence, for being here. Okay?